Welcome to Business Growth Spotlight, where we shine the light and talk with business leaders from all over the world who are here sharing their expertise and wisdom so we can all grow together. I'm your host, Heidi Schock, co-founder of HLH Growth Solutions, where we help businesses grow through outside the box visibility and automation strategies. If you're new to the podcast, welcome. We're very happy to have you here joining us today. Please stay to the end because I have a special gift just for you. And I want to introduce today's guest, who we've been having a little fun backstage talking before we hit that record button. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce Joel Shertok with Process Industries Consultants. So welcome, Joel, to the podcast.
Hey, thank you very much for inviting me.
It's a pleasure to have you here, Joel. So can you kick us off? Tell us a little bit about yourself, about Process Industries Consultants, and your role within it.
Okay, so long story short, I was born in the Bronx,
Mm.
uh, and my story actually begins in 1966 when people begin asking you as a your high school junior, senior, what you can do with your life, right? And it's not a bad question to ask. And
Right.
I was good in most of my studies, so the road was kind of open. And one day in my school library, there was a book called "So You Want to Be a Chemical Engineer," and I said, "Well, that's interesting." So I pulled it out and spent a couple of days reading it. And I said, hey, this looks pretty interesting. I like chemistry. I like physics. This looked like a reasonable place to go. And then I found out that chemical engineers make a lot of money. So I said, well, that kind of clinches it. Kind of mercenary, but that's what it was. So I did 4 years in a school called the Cooper Union, engineering school in New York City. Went to Princeton for my PhD and began working full time in 75. So I have 50 years in the industry and 55 if you count summer jobs. And I did a fair amount of work in specialty chemicals, commodity chemicals, carbon fiber composites, biotech, filtration, many, many different technologies. But my job was always the same. It was one of three things. I either take a process that the chemist came up with in the lab and make it something commercial, or go down to a plant, figure out why something wasn't working right and fix it, or go down to a plant and figure out ways they could make more without having to spend money. So I tell people what I do is I either scale you, I fix you, or I squeeze you. Those are my three jobs. So I hit 65, and the company at that point said, Bojo, you ought to retire. And I said, I really don't want to. And they said, well, that's really too bad because we're wiping out your department, which means you're too old, but we can't do say that because then you can sue us. So they
Mm.
wipe out your department and you can't sue. So they made me a nice goodbye party. And I said, well, now what? I don't want to retire. I'm too young for that. So I looked around, I thought, well, maybe franchising, and nothing really seemed appealing. So I said, well, you might as well do what you're good at. I became a consultant. I founded my business, Process Industries Consultants, and I've been doing that for the last 12 years, doing the exact same thing I did when I was in the industry, except now I work for myself.
Wow, that's amazing. Thank you so much for sharing that. I love that you're like, no, I'm going to keep going. I, I'm too young, right?
Yeah, 65 is young these days, unless you're
It
working in a
is.
coal mine.
It is. Yeah, absolutely. So can you share with us with Process Industries Consultants, who do you serve? And what are some of the biggest operational challenges that your clients face when they first come?
Well, typically, I like to work with either startup companies that are well capitalized, in other words, they got money to pay me, and typically they have a process that they've developed in the laboratory with glassware or small scale equipment, and they're making a pound a day, 2 pounds a day of something. And somebody loves it and wants tons, and they have no idea what to do. So I will come in and I will take that laboratory process and scale it up into a commercial process. I wrote a book on that, as a matter of fact, called The Art of Scale Up. So that's one thing. Or there's a company and had a process, it's been fantastic for years. And then one day it is making garbage and they have no idea why. Everything looks exactly the same. So I will come in and try and dig in and see what's gone wrong. So obviously something's gone wrong. And sometimes it's blatantly obvious, and sometimes it is very difficult because everything does look the same, except what's coming out the end is not. Or companies making lots of money and they're making tons of stuff, they want to make more. but they don't want to spend any money. So I will come in and see if there's some way you can tweak the process to force more stuff out the door.
So you just mentioned your book. Can you
Mm-hmm.
share with us, tell us a little bit more about your book?
Sure, it's a book called The Art of Scale Up. It's really
Uh-huh.
a monograph more than a book. I'm going to publish it on Amazon. It's been available privately for about 10 years. It's coming to Amazon. And basically, it distills my years of scale up experience. It is not no tons of mathematics because that's not who I'm writing for. It's semi-quantitative, semi-qualitative, so you can read and say, "Oh yeah, that's what scale up's all about."
So we can get it on Amazon soon.
So in about a month or so,
Okay, perfect. And right now, when we're recording, just so for our listeners, it is about June, what are we, June 21, June
June
22?
22nd. Yeah,
Yeah, so June 22nd. So in about a month, or at
yeah,
the end of
beginning of August.
July,
Yeah,
beginning of August, it should be live. So, and probably around the time that this will come out. So that's fantastic. So I'll make sure that we share that information out. So if you're listening to us now, go check out YouTube if you want this book. So Joel, after years of helping organizations improve performance and efficiency, what are the most common blind spots that you see leaders miss inside of their operations?
they don't see the obvious stuff. And what it is you do a process for X number of years, you
Mhm.
stop seeing things because you do it and it works fine. Nobody gets upset. And then when it doesn't work fine, you can't figure out what the issue is because you can't see the forest for the trees. Like you live in a house for about 20 years, you stop seeing things
Yeah.
until one day something attracts your attention. And you say, "Was that always there? I don't remember that being there." For instance, I was in my bathroom a couple of days ago and I noticed there's a hook in the door. Now, the hook's always been in the door. I just never noticed it. It didn't miraculously appear one day. It was been there for the last 20 years. But for some reason, it never attracted my attention.
So you
So
haven't used the hook.
I have a hook there already. That's why I never saw it. And it's like that with chemical processes. People sometimes don't see the obvious things.
Mm.
Like, I think the best example is we had a process and it was just mixing. It was mixing 4 or 5 different things together, no reaction. What could be simpler, right, than mixing stuff together? And the lab, in like a gallon beaker, you could mix it in 5 minutes. When it got to the plant in like a 1,000, 5,000 gallon mixer, it took 5 hours. And nobody thought to say, how come? How come? Because it's easy. I mean, scaling is easy. And people, again, people always scratched their head and kind of just shrugged and said, well, blah, blah, blah. So I said, well, this is interesting. This ought to be an interesting problem. And it turns out that one of the components, one of the liquids was really viscous. Ever see molasses? Just sort of takes forever. So 4 out of the 5 were real thin. Put them in, mix them, they're no problem. The third, the fourth, the fifth material, very viscous, and the operators were pouring it right by the edge of the reactor, right by the lip, because it was too heavy to lift any further. And what was happening? It was going down the surface of the reactor and pulling in the bottom. And because it was thick, ever see honey and tea? It just sits there and let's just stir it. Same thing happened. This was just sitting there and it took forever to mix, right? So we went down to Sears and bought a $13 chute so that we poured the liquid, the chute took it into the center of the mixer instead of the edge of the mixer, and boom, 5 minutes. So consider the
That's
return of investment on a $13 chute.
wow. Wow. So, Joel, many companies they focus on revenue growth, but operational inefficiencies can quietly destroy profitability. What are
Absolutely.
some of the biggest hidden costs you uncover when working with your clients?
Usually using obsolescent processes. Again, we say, you do the same thing for X number of years,
Mhm.
and the process is making money, and everybody's kind of happy. And chemical companies tend to be very conservative for very good reason. Make a change, and God knows what's going to happen. So you got something that kind of works. But a lot of times, what you're doing hasn't been optimized. Somebody worked on a process 20 years ago, got to work, everyone's making money, everyone's kind of happy. And until something happens and people say, I need more, I got to make more of this stuff, I don't know how. That's when you come in and say, well, why are you doing it this way? Why are you doing it that way? So I was working with a company that made lubricants. And the technology was old. It was old, but they made stuff and they made a lot of money on it. And then suddenly Europe said, we want more. And they said, oh, well, we can't make any more. That's not good. So just come on in and tell us how to make more. So the reaction process was not efficient. They wasted a lot of material. The distillation process was basically the same way you make bourbon. It's a batch process, which is very inefficient. So one by one, you look at them and you say, hey, you can do it this way. Reactor, you can use a different catalyst. Distillation, you can use this system instead. And basically revamp the process just using commonly available technology.
So AI, I'd like to chat a little bit about AI because it's here. It's not going
It
anywhere.
definitely is here.
It's here. So AI is becoming part of nearly every business conversation and every podcast conversation that I'm having here. How do you see AI impacting manufacturing operations and process improvement over the next few years?
It's absolutely fantastic. I mean, I use it extensively, and I could not survive as a consultant without AI. And I hate AI because it's a horrible term. It's not artificial intelligence, at least not yet. It's a glorified Google. It's
Ah,
really it's Google on steroids. There's nothing you can do. There's nothing in AI today you can do with Google if you didn't have to eat and sleep. Same thing with computers. A computer does not do anything you couldn't do if you had like 1,000 years and didn't have to eat, didn't have to sleep. It simply speeds the process up. And AI does that too. So I had a company that had a mixing problem. They bought a brand new mixing system, brand new reactor system, and the problem was everything they put in the top, same thing came out the bottom. Nothing was happening. So it was obviously a mixing problem.
mm,
But what sort of mixing problem? So I asked my favorite program, Complexity, and we usually give it all the information. You give it the reactor type, you give it the mixer type, you give it the mixer motor, all the information. And because these guys have stolen so much information to feed their AI, they can do things you couldn't do without really having to call the manufacturer, get this information, call the vendor, get this information. It takes forever because sales guys never get back to you. But AI had all the information that went boom, 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 boom. It's a mixing problem, Joel. Here's the issue. The mixer was undersized for the volume. Now, does that make sense? Yeah, you can do the calculations because the calculations are there. And yeah, that makes sense. They misdesigned the reactor. So you either add less or buy a new mixer. But that is 15 minutes of no, half an hour work to make sure you get the problem completely right versus 2 weeks.
right. With research, phone calls, all of that.
Yeah. And another company said, okay, we have got a big vat and it's sitting in a plant, and we want to make sure that when winter comes, it doesn't freeze on us. Can you do the calculation and tell us what temperature we need to maintain to keep it from freezing? So again, I found a wonderful heat transfer program, calculated all the heat transfer coefficients for me, all the physical properties for me. And so here's the situation. Tell me what the heat rate is. Tell me what the heat loss is. Blah, 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 blah. Here's the temperature you need. Now, did it do anything I couldn't do? Absolutely not.
Right.
But it did all the calculations for me.
Which makes things much more efficient.
Again, it turned a 2 week process into a couple of hours.
Absolutely. So, Joel, where do you think companies are getting AI right? And where are they chasing technology before they're solving the underlying business problem?
At this point, nobody really knows what AI is. It's evolving so quickly that what you know today is wrong tomorrow. So, what would be the best of all possible worlds? Best of all possible worlds would be okay. You have a typical chemical plant, but everything's automatic control. Now they got that now. Everything's computer control, but there's no feedback loop. The feedback loop is the operator. So they have something called statistical process control. You can look at the variation of various parameters within your plant. It will tell you if you're in control or not. In other words, are you going to meet spec or are you getting into trouble? So imagine you now have AI that can do all these calculations for you, and it is a feedback loop into all the control loops in your chemical plant. So now you have QC doing all the calculations, and they're picking up the phone and yelling at the operator who's out of control to do something. But imagine the case where you have AI doing the calculations for you, and directly communicating to the processors, not the operator, the processors, to make changes in the chemical process so you're back in control. Wouldn't that be fantastic?
Mm-hmm.
And there's no
Absolutely.
reason right now you can't do it, except the loops aren't there, the calculations aren't there, but the basic things are there. You can have AI calculate your parameters. The process is already under automatic controlled electronics. It's just a matter of coupling the computer that runs the plant with the computer that's doing the SPC and trusting it enough to do that.
Mm. So I'd like to learn more about how you've grown. So you've been in business, if I'm remembering correctly, from when you shared with us at the beginning of our conversation,
Yep.
12 years. Am I correct?
Yep.
Yep. So process industries consultants, how are your clients, the people that you work with and best serve, how are they finding you? How are the ways that you got out there market wise or marketing wise and also visibility wise? And I'm asking this, Joel, kind of twofold. What are the things that you've done that have worked for you? And then on that flip side of the coin, what are some of the things that you tried that just didn't give you that return that you had hoped for?
Well, for the first 10 years I was doing consulting, people found me. They
Okay.
went to LinkedIn, they went to my website. I did very little sales and marketing. I get a phone call, hey, we got a problem, blah, 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 blah. Come on down and help us. 2025, that all disappeared.
Huh.
There was, and I think everybody in the consulting business has felt the same thing, that there has been a radical change in the way that you find clients, and everyone's trying to adjust. No one has the magic answer yet. So how do you get clients? And that's difficult because in the old days you did cold calls, right? But now if someone sees a phone number they don't understand, they don't pick up because there's so much junk phone call these days.
Right.
Okay,
Right.
used to go on LinkedIn and read posts. But now AI is generating posts. So you can generate 15, 20 posts a day. No one really cares. AI doesn't get mad at you. So LinkedIn's getting glutted. And they're trying to fight back, and they've got twist the algorithms and kick things around. But everybody has the exact same idea. There's millions of people posting and posting and posting. So everyone has the model to subvert LinkedIn to try and get people's attention. So what doesn't work anymore is the old-fashioned cold outreach. It just does not work. So the trick these days is to figure out, okay, who needs my help? My analogy is, if you're full and you don't want to go to a restaurant, doesn't matter how good the restaurant is, you're not hungry. So if you're in a restaurant, you want to find out who's passing by, who's hungry, and who will stop in to eat if you entice them properly. So how do you do that? Well, you have nice odors emanating from your restaurant. Maybe you have the chef preparing a dish where people can see it. It's the hook. And you, as a consultant, have to find that hook. Who needs me? Who just blew up a plant? Who just got an FDA citation? Who's in trouble with the EPA? Who has a process that's just costing them tons of money? And those are the guys you try and hit. And there's lots of things out there, but you have to learn how to use them because they're complex. And it's fishing.
Right, right. So how are you doing it? So you just mentioned that who are EPA, like you've mentioned certain triggers or certain flags that you might, I'm trying to think of the right word to use here, that might be that for a lead.
Basically,
So
people
for
will be triggered.
right, it would be triggering that lead. So are you cold outreaching those people that might have an
It's too
EPA
late.
or
You've got to find out who they are before you cold outreach. And the good thing about AI is there's a lot of business software, right? Tons of business
right?
software that monitor all these wonderful things more than you ever could. And you couple AI to these things, you have AI do the outreach for you.
So you are okay. So what I'm trying to get clear on, Joel, is that you are getting those leads who are flagged for those EPA violations or et cetera,
What?
and then you're reaching out to them cold from there.
That's correct.
Yes. So cold outreach in that aspect does work for you.
Well, it's because it's warm outreach. Cold means you're not sure who you're contacting. This is cold outreach with a purpose.
Okay. Yes. So, but you're getting the leads. They don't know of you beforehand, and
No,
now you're reaching out to them saying that you can solve this problem.
that's correct. And it's a
Okay.
much, much more challenging environment.
Yes. But it's working for you.
It
So
works.
that's what you're doing now?
Requires a lot more work. It requires a lot more effort than it used to.
Yeah, well, yeah, you have to generate, it's all about the numbers, right? It's a
And it's a
numbers
numbers
game.
game.
So many outreach means so many, like you reach out to so many people, you expect these percentages. And if we get above these percentages, we're doing really good,
Yep.
right? So are you not generating as much on LinkedIn? Are you still using LinkedIn as a
You've
way
got to
to
come out. People don't
connect?
come to you anymore.
Right. Yeah.
You've got
So
to go to them.
you mentioned 2025. What changed, do you think, in 2025?
I think the political and economic environment became a lot more uncertain.
Okay.
People are basically saying, I'm not doing anything unless I absolutely have to, because I can't tell if something I do today is going to become obsolescent tomorrow because something changed in Washington.
Got it.
People depend
Okay.
on people depend on a certain degree of consistency, and change is fine as long as the change doesn't change every day.
Right.
And since nobody knows what's going to happen, you defer what you can, and you don't solve a problem unless it becomes an absolute crisis.
Perfect. So if I could hand you a magic wand, you shared with us some challenges you've had and what's working, what's not working. If I could hand you a magic wand, Joel, and you can wave it over one challenge or issue you're having right now in the moment, that you can wave that magic wand and go poof, and it disappears, what would it be and why?
Again, the magic wand is waving it and finding, getting a list of clients who need a chemical engineer desperately.
Yeah.
That's the magic wand. In other words, hey, Joel, here's a list of 10 or 20 companies that are in desperate need of you because they have an EPA citation, they're not efficient anymore, they have a process that's not scaling properly. And here's the guy you should call, and good luck.
Incredible. So when you do your outreach, are you doing that yourself or do you
Oh,
have a
yeah.
team behind you?
No, my team is me.
Okay,
I
perfect.
am solo entrepreneur in every sense of the word.
Yes. But you're consistently making it happen, right?
We tried. I mean,
Yep.
there's always room for another client.
Fantastic. What's next for you, Joel? If I could bring you back in 12 months and we can revisit this conversation, what does success look for like for you? What are the big goals for you over the
I
next
mean,
12
basically, if I have 6 consistent income streams, I am fine.
months? Mm,
Because as a single guy, how much can you handle? I mean, there's a limit to how much you can do. And to me, I've got 3 clients now.
mm.
Uh, I can handle probably 3 more before you're really going overboard.
Amazing. We're looking for those three more. So,
Looking for those three
Joel,
more.
can you share with us? So, those three people that are listening that are like, I need Joel, they can reach out to you. Those three people that you're looking for. Can you share with us how people can connect with you, find you, learn more about you and your company? Where can they go?
Well, one thing is pick up the phone and call. And the
Mhm.
number is 302 562 9759. It's on 24 hours a day. So no problem. You can contact me at my email, which is jshertok, JSHERTOK, at consultants.com. You can go to my website, which is obviously www.processinconsultants.com, or find me on LinkedIn under Joel Shertok.
Fantastic. So, for those of you listening, if you're listening to it, watching us on YouTube right now, Jill and I say thank you and hello. Thank you for being here. If you know of anybody that would benefit from hearing this conversation, learning more about Joel and Process Industries Consultants, please share this episode. Please share this interview with them. If you're listening to us on your favorite podcast platform, thank you. And if you're so inclined to leave a review, we would love it. 5 stars preferably. That way, the 5 stars allows the platform to say, hey, this is a really good interview that people are enjoying, and we're going to share it out to more people. So that supports us and it supports Joel on sharing this conversation out with more people. So greatly appreciate it. If you know of anybody that would benefit from this conversation, please share. Please let them know Joel exists, that Process Industries Consultants is here to support them in any of their chemical engineering needs. And you can go to processindconsultants.com. We'll also have all of his links and his social media and all of the ways of getting in touch with him, including his phone number in the show notes. You can go there. So Joel, this has been such an eye-opening conversation. Thank you for sharing all of your knowledge and wisdom with us. Is there anything that you'd like to share that I didn't ask you or we didn't touch on today?
No, I think the thing is chemical engineering is changed. The engineering I had when I was an undergrad in the 70s, completely different now. My
Mm,
son is going to, my grandson is going to the University of Minnesota as a chemical engineer. And chemical engineering was one of the primary schools back in the 70s and 80s. They had all the stars, but they're no longer doing chemical engineering. It's now the bioengineering and biotech department. And the
mm.
stuff he's taking bears zero resemblance to anything I took. He's not doing
Wow.
distillation. He's not doing chemical reaction. He's doing biotech and bioengineering. And that's happening everywhere.
Incredible. Everything's evolving, right?
Definitely evolving, and AI is speeding things up even more.
Absolutely. And it'd be interesting to hear his take on how AI is being implemented in what he's learning and inside of the colleges these days on what he's learning. That would definitely be an interesting. I'm sure you have an amazing conversation between you and him.
Yeah, for them, it's embedded. For us, it's sort of separate and distinct because it's something that's being grafted on. But for
Right.
today's undergrads, it's part of the world.
Yeah, absolutely. It's incredible how fast things are changing and evolving.
Tell me about it.
Well, thank you so much for being here. I've loved our conversation. Thank you for sharing your knowledge, your wisdom, and your time with us. For those of you listening, please reach out to Joel. He's a pretty cool guy, as you've heard here today. You definitely want to connect with him. Go to LinkedIn, go to processindconsultants.com. We'll have all of his links as I was sharing with you in the show notes. Uh, and Joel, thank you for taking time out of your busy day to be here. I really appreciate you. And I look forward to seeing you all on the next episode of the Business Growth Spotlights.
Thank you very much.